Hello, I'm Michael Broski. This third recording highlights a few items contained in the general application, such as the standard form, referred to as SF 424, Project Abstract, Ed 524 Budget Worksheet, Government Performance Reporting and Accountability, referred to as GPRA, and Grant Application Form for Program Objectives and Performance Measures, Indirect Costs Calculations, and Cost Share and Match. The standard form, or SF, 424 is your application for federal assistance. In Block 18, titled Estimated Funding, enter the amount you are requesting for Year 1 or the first budget period only. Slide 25 will guide you in entering the amounts you are requesting in each budget period. In the Ed 524 budget sheet, applicants will enter the budget amount requested each year of the project for a total of no more than 5 years. Applicants may request different funding amounts each year depending on activities and associated costs. Please consult the NIA, section Roman numeral 2, Award Information, Estimated Available Funds. The NIA may provide an amount of estimated available funds or an estimated range of available funds. In addition, the NIA may specify a maximum amount not to exceed for a single budget period of 12 months. The total cost in line 12 must not exceed the maximum amount available for a single budget period. In other words, if the maximum amount available for a single budget period is $800,000, line 12 should not exceed $800,000 for each budget period. Applicants may request an amount that is lower than the maximum amount available for a single budget period. However, the department may not award more than what is requested by the applicant. Therefore, it is important to work with your fiscal or business office to prepare a budget and budget narrative that details costs and complete rationale and justification to support those costs. I will now turn this over to Christian Reinhardt Fernandez.
Thank you, Michael. Applicants are required to submit a one-page project abstract with their application. The abstract must include the following information: name of applicant, agency or institution applying for award, not the individual submitting the application, city and state where the agency or institution is located, the congressional district where the agency or institution is located. That would be the number. The name of the project director and percentage of time the project director will manage the project. To find your congressional district, you will go to a website titled house.gov. That website is also listed in the handout that accompanies this presentation. You will search for your congressional district by entering your zip code plus 4 digits. If you do not know your zip code plus 4 digits, you may look it up by visiting the U.S. Postal Service Lookup Zip Code page. We provided a link to the Postal Service Lookup Zip Code page in the handout that accompanies this webinar. The Congressional District Code should use a 2-character state abbreviation, a hyphen, and then a 3-character district number. For example, CA-005 for California's 5th district, or VA-008 for Virginia's 8th district. Use 00-000 for programs or projects outside the United States and U.S. territories. Questions regarding the project abstract or any other components of the application should be directed to the contact person before the closing date. Government performance and results, or GPRA measures, for your specific program are typically located in the Notice Inviting Applications, Roman numeral 5, Application Review Information, Section 4. In some cases, if the type of the award to be made is a cooperative agreement, there may be language stating that the measures will be negotiated as part of the agreement. A definition of a cooperative agreement can be found in the Uniform Guidance, Section 200.24. GPRA measures direct federal departments and agencies to improve the effectiveness of their programs by engaging in strategic planning, setting outcome-related goals for programs, and measuring program results against those goals. Slide 28 is a screenshot of a required form applicants must complete and submit as part of their application. The application package for your respective competition will contain a document titled Instructions, Grant Application Form for Project Objectives and Performance Measures Information. We will highlight some of these instructions on this slide. Your grant application establishes project objectives, stating what you hope to achieve with your funded project. Generally, one or more performance measures are established for each project objective, and these measures will serve to demonstrate whether you have met or are making progress towards meeting each project objective. Project objectives should be entered each year. However, the year to which the project objective applies must be clearly identified. Examples are provided in the instructions that accompany this form. For each project objective, select the type of measure. There are 3 different types of measures. As we mentioned earlier, the GPRA measures are designed to measure results. An example is the number of individuals who successfully completed the program. Program measures are specific measures established by the program for a particular grant competition, such as an absolute priority or other program requirements. An example is providing a minimum of 2 webinars or video conferences over the course of the project. Project measures are established by the applicant and are performance measures, such as yearly goals and benchmarks, to meet the project objectives as established in the approved grant application. Task-oriented activities are not project measures. After you select the type of measure, determine the type of data that you will report, raw number, ratio, or percentage, and select one type. For example, if you are reporting on the number of training activities that will be conducted annually, the target data should be entered as a raw number. In this example, you would leave the ratio and percentage types blank. Again, please remember to consult the instructions for this form, which can be found in the application package that accompanies your specific competition. Indirect costs represent the expenses of doing business that are not readily identified with a particular grant, contract, project function, or activity, but are necessary for the general operation of the organization and the conduct of activities it performs. In theory, costs like heat, light, accounting, and personnel might be charged directly if meters could record minutes in a cross-cutting manner. Practical difficulties preclude such an approach. Therefore, cost allocation plans or indirect cost rates are used to distribute those costs to benefiting revenue sources. Looking at it another way, indirect costs are those costs that are not classified as direct. Direct costs can be identified specifically with particular cost objectives, such as a grant, contract, project, function, or activity. A few examples include, but are not limited to, salaries and wages, including vacations, holidays, sick leave, and other excused absences of employees working specifically on objectives of a grant or contract. In other words, direct labor costs. Consultant services contracted to accomplish specific grant or contract objectives, and travel of direct labor employees. A few items to note about indirect costs. Consult the NIA or notice inviting applications for any limitations to the indirect cost rate. Guidance related to calculating an indirect cost rate can be found on the Department of Education's website. A link is provided on this slide, in the handout that accompanies this recording, and in the application package. Questions concerning indirect costs should be sent to the Indirect Costs Group's email address contained on this slide and in the handout. Be sure that your indirect cost rate agreement with your cognizant agency is up to date. Cost sharing or matching is the portion of program or project costs not borne by the federal government. A link to the uniform guidance is provided at the top of this slide and in the handout that accompanies this recording. The NIA specifies whether or not there is a cost share or cost match requirement. The terms are used interchangeably and referred to either a statutorily specified percentage of project program costs that must be contributed by a grant applicant in order to be eligible for funding, or any situation where the applicant voluntarily shares in the cost of a project. Any cost sharing promised by the grantee in its application must be fully documented and accounted for in the grantee's expenditure records and reports. Applications submitted for funding that have either required or voluntary cost sharing must include the specific costs or contributions proposed to meet the matching or cost sharing requirement, the source of the cost sharing, and in the case of in-kind contributions, a description of how the value was determined for the donated or contributed services or goods. There may be other authorized program-specific funds that are allowable to use as match. Please check the NIA notice inviting applications for your specific program. There is a tool on the Rehabilitation Services Administration's Management Information System site that may help you calculate your match if required. A link is provided at the bottom of this slide and in the handout. This concludes recording 3.